So for example, the young woman in pink, what's your name?
Ernie.
Praneet?
Yeah.
Okay, and how old are you, Praneet?
15.
15. Right, so we're not going to say, the young woman was wearing all pink, magenta, wears a turban, 15 years old, and then, talk about where you live and what school. Like, that would be too much identifying information, right? And in a community that's as small as ours, that kind of information can make you figure out who it is. Just like if somebody said, oh, that 45-year-old lady who went to NYU, teaches in New Jersey, has friends named Cummin and Wright, Tyson Rumman, has these friends or whatever, like she said something. Well, then obviously you can figure out I said it, right? Because you can track back all that identifying information. So again, we want you to be able to feel comfortable enough, and we don't want you to get harmed by telling us the story, right? So that's why we keep the information confidential. We will use some quotes, but again, those quotes won't be linked to you, but sometimes participants in studies, such as yourselves, will be able to say something in a way that we can't say it. Like the way you said it was so on point, we have to use that quote. So a lot of our research includes quotes from participants, but not linked to who they are. And again, while we have about, let's say, 20, 25 people sitting here, right? Maybe out of these 25 people, only 1 or 2 people want to participate, right? And that's totally okay. But we don't want anybody to say, oh, they didn't participate or they did or whatever, right? There's no good or bad in terms of participating. For us, we want people to participate, but we only want them to do so if they feel comfortable and it's not an imposition in their life or too much of an imposition. Other things that we can't think of anything? So you might wonder, like, why the obvious thing you could say is I'm sick myself, right? Brahman is also sick, and you might wonder why Tice is.
Whenever you're in a fight, don't always hit the person first. Whoever hits you first, then you strike back, because that's the right thing to do. And then self-defense. So you only fight for self-defense, and then you should no matter who criticizes you because you're religion, you should always use your verb or make them understand. If they don't understand, then you go on to the next stage. And then basically that's it, because we're kids, we don't know that much as grown-ups, but there's some grown-ups that don't know as much as kids do. So you should always make people understand by your verbal powers, not physical powers.
Yeah.
Why would you that?
That was pretty awesome, what you just said. I think that I've never heard it put that way, with the verbal powers versus the physical powers, and I really like that. If it's okay, I'm going to use that in the future. But those are the kinds of stories, right? So if you think about all the characters in your story, right? There's the guy with the jura, there's the kid who maybe doesn't have a lot of hair, and then there's the dean, and there's this teacher. And imagine, and maybe a school counselor in there somewhere. Imagine if those people at least minimally understood what the patka means, what the turban means, what the hair means to Sikhs, right? Why we do what we do. If even that little bit of information, then it becomes a little bit of a more level playing field, right? Then you don't have to always use so much of your verbal powers. You can use less of them. Right?
We just shared, so recently the attacks that happened in Paris and the photos that went viral. So we take public transportation to school, and we walked in, and then my friends, they were like, why did you do that in Paris? And it just wasn't right, because I spent most of my time with them. I gave them the money. I don't even say anything back, but then at this time they're all going against me. And we also have a basketball squad, and we let everybody play with us, and we're still undefeated with a score of 9-0. And
yeah, I mean, it's the ugly side, or jokes go too far. I think what people forget is that the Paris attacks, if they affected other people in the United States, they also affected us, right? That Sikhs are also living in the United States and also have feelings and also have those experiences. And so, yeah, again, a great example of the kind of stories that we want to be able to document, right? You're basically telling us, but in some ways you're telling people that have a little bit of knowledge about this. The power is if we can take your stories to people that have not heard about it at all. And that's really what we want to do. That's kind of our goal. Our goal is to carry these kinds of 2 stories and other stories like it, and different than it, to the public, and in particular to mental health and school professionals. And so you can look at it and see, it doesn't have a lot of information on it, but it has a little bit. And it might trigger some questions for you.